guys, it's Kayla, and today I'm here to talk about something super exciting that I've mentioned in a few past videos, but I wanted to do a full video on this topic. And as you can tell by the title, we're going to talk about why I started my podcast. Now, if you are not caught up on my most recent videos, you may be like, what, a podcast? Yes, I started a podcast. And so I'm super excited to share about this with you and then talk a little bit about why. Also give you guys a little sneak peek. At the end of this video will be the intro episode of my podcast. So you can listen to that and then jump over and listen to the first two episodes, which are also live. So, my podcast. I launched the Lifestyled podcast on May 8th. Which was super exciting. This has been a really long-term goal of mine for about a year and a half that I finally had the time to do. So Lifestyled launched on May 8th, and I launched it through Anchor, which is this really awesome platform. I'll have it linked below. Me and all my friends who have podcasts use it. It's a free platform for producing podcasts. It does all the hard work of like getting it out there onto other platforms for you, has some awesome editing tools, collaboration tools, and it's free. It's free and super easy to navigate. So I'll link it below. That's what I'm making my podcast on, and I love it. I am sponsored by them on my podcast, not on this video though. So this is just me telling you how much I love them. I thought you're not sponsoring me to tell you about this in a video, but I just want to share that. I use Anchor. They are fabulous. And I learned about them from my friend who started her podcast a few months ago. And they're just fabulous. So it launched on May 8th. There are 3 episodes up. There's an intro episode. It's like a minute and a half of me just like talking about what the podcast will be. The audio quality sucks because it was before I got my microphone, but it's okay. You're gonna hear that at the end of this video. And then I've launched 2 episodes since. The first episode was on goal setting, and then the second episode was on taking care of your mind, body, and soul. So self-care, basically. It is available on Anchor's website. There's a whole like page of my podcast you can listen to on Anchor, or on the app. They have an app as well. But it's also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Most of those things I had never heard of until I launched a podcast, and so then I had to. But those are all the platforms where you can find Lifestyled. So basically anywhere you listen to podcasts, I'm there. It's me. You can't see my face, but you can hear my voice, which is just wild to me. So I want to talk a little bit about why I decided to start a podcast, why that felt like the natural fit for the Styled by Kayla universe, whatever you want to say. Because I did just launch my website this year, which was also a long-term goal. I had launched blogs before and they just never really stuck, so I figured I needed something more, which was my full website, which we talked about earlier this year when I launched that. But a podcast was always something that I really thought I was missing for a lot of reasons. So the first one being, I just love podcasts. I love to listen to podcasts while I drive. I love to be inspired, y'all. Self-improvement podcasts are my jam. I love to listen to people just like speak truth into my life. That's the kind of person I am. And so I just love podcasts. That was like the number one reason. I love podcasts, so why couldn't I have my own? I also, you guys know I like to talk a lot. Like I really like to talk. And so that was another obvious, draw to making a podcast, is it's just talking, which I'm really good at. But the main thing with that is I like making longer form content. You guys know I have some fairly long videos on here, but I don't like to watch longer form content on YouTube. I'm not a person who can sit for 40 minutes and watch a video. I have. There are some videos I can, but like that's not my preferred form of YouTube consumption, is like long videos like that. But I can listen to a long podcast. You put that on in a commute, or while you're doing other things around the house, you can multitask, right? And that's the way I like my long form content, is when I can do other things while I'm consuming that content. Which for YouTube, you can't. I mean, sometimes you can have a YouTube video on the background and still get enough out of it while doing other things, but it's much easier with the podcast to like do chores and listen to a podcast. So that was kind of a big draw for me, was that I could make longer form content that people actually could consume without having to have 40 minutes of their day to just sit and pay attention to me. Because I know in my life that's not a reality. I don't often have just like 40 minutes to sit down and watch a video. But I definitely have 40 minutes to listen to a podcast while I can actively be doing other things. So that was a big draw. The other was collaboration. Now, yes, I've done collaboration on YouTube before with other people, and I love making videos with other people. It's a lot of fun, but it's difficult in my day-to-day life to make video content with other people because A, I don't know a lot of people who are super comfortable being on camera. I have some friends who are, and you've met them before. And B, it's more time consuming to like sit down, have to be in the same place, sit down, do that. Well, through Anchor, I don't have to be in the same room as someone who's gonna be on my podcast. Anchor has awesome collaboration tools that you can just send a link to someone, they join, and you can record together. So, like right now we're in lockdown, right? We can't leave our house, other people can't come to our houses. But my episode in 2 weeks, I wanted to have a guest on. I wanted to have one of my friends on to talk about guilty pleasures. Well, she lives in Portland. How is that gonna work, right? I live in Puyallup, she lives in Portland. I could drive to Portland, she could drive up here. It's not that far, but we can't, we're in lockdown. So it'll be super easy. I'll pull out my, well, I'll probably do it on my computer. She'll pull out her phone, I'll type in my computer, I'll get everything set up, I'll hit invite someone to talk, I'll send her a message, she'll click a link, and we'll be able to record my podcast together, which is super cool. Like, we can collaborate from long distances, which I love. And then also she's launching a podcast soon and I'll be able to be on hers because there's an episode of her podcast that we've been planning me being on for probably a year since she started like seriously talking about her podcast. She's been talking about it for like 2 years or longer. But we've like had this plan for us to be able to be on a podcast together, and now we can do that from 3 hours away from each other, which is super cool. So those are kind of the main reasons I wanted to start my podcast, and so far I'm loving it. It's been a really cool way to get to share different content with you guys. I have a lot to say. You guys know that. I have a lot of words to say. You'll hear in the intro to the podcast. The biggest running joke in my family when I was younger, other than the fact that they all called me Grace because I'm a klutz. But the second biggest running joke about me when I was growing up was that if humans had a word limit, I would have been mute before kindergarten. So like, talking is my jam. So this has been a really cool way for me to just get to talk. It's been a little weird that like, I just am like sitting at my desk talking into this microphone for like an hour, like just talking to myself, it's fine. So that's still something I'm getting used to, but it's really no different than me talking to a camera. Like, granted with a camera, I can like make eye contact with myself and it feels like I'm talking to someone else. Whereas with the podcast, I'm just like, so today we're gonna talk about goals. I don't know who we is, it's just me in this room. But so that's been a lot of fun though, to like learn that. It's a new skill. And granted I have like the technology skills for it, but it's a different format. I'm so used to video content that audio content is just a whole new world for me, and I'm really enjoying it. So, as I said, there's 2 episodes up already. The first one is on goal setting. The second is on self-care. There are 2 more episodes coming out in May. Next week, well, this week, it's Sunday when I'm filming this, so you'll be seeing this week. There'll be an episode on personality and identity, which is super exciting. I have a lot of big plans for Instagram content to go along with that one. I'm super hype on that. And then the following week will be guilty pleasures, which will have my friend Elise as a guest, which is super exciting. We're gonna talk about one of our mutual guilty pleasures that are doing an event next week, actually, that we're gonna get to talk about, which is, I can't wait for you guys to listen to this podcast, because I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say because we are very opinionated. So those are the 2 episodes that are coming up, and there are 2 episodes up now. I am still just kind of in like a dream state about like what I want to do next. So if you have ideas for things that you want to hear me talk about, please leave them in the comments below. There are social media accounts for Lifestyled Podcast. On Instagram, we are life.styledpodcast. I want to make sure I'm right about that. Let's go to Instagram. Yes, life.styledpodcast. And I'll show you it in a second so you can see what that page looks like. Looks like this. It's all pink. So yeah, life.styledpodcast on Instagram, and on Twitter, because you can't use periods in Twitter names, we are lifestyled_pod. So there's the Twitter. Lifestyled_pod. So follow us on social media. Like I said, you can catch Lifestyled on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Lots of options. I'll have the Anchor page and the Apple Podcasts and Spotify linked in the description because those are kind of the big ones that people listen to podcasts on. So those will be linked in the description of this video, and the social media pages will be down there too. I would love for you guys to check it out. Shoot me a tweet or comment on this video about what you would like to hear me talk about in the podcast. Go take a listen to the first episode. Yeah, I'm super excited for you guys to hear this and be a part of this awesome new journey I'm on. I'm so excited. I've loved it so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and right now put in the intro to Lifestyle Podcast right here so you guys can take a listen to that, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye! Hi, my name is Kayla, and for the past 8 years I've shared my life with the world through StyledByKaylaXO, my lifestyle YouTube channel, and most recently, website. I've shared my passions, my struggles, my embarrassing moments, my favorite things, and everything in between. And while my blog and YouTube channels have given me an outlet to share my world and experiences with you all, there's been something missing. Ask anyone who knows me. I love to talk. My grandma once said that if we had a word quota in this life, I would have been mute before kindergarten. I'm a storyteller, and though storytime videos on YouTube and long-winded blog posts can get some of that energy out, a podcast felt like a natural addition to the StyledByKaylaXO world. And so here we are, my podcast, Life Styled. Here we'll talk about, to put it simply, life. Everything from books to music to pop culture to self-improvement to the embarrassing thing I did at work this week. Weight loss and heartbreak and scary medical issues, my obsession with the Jonas Brothers, my fears. That one time Sophie Turner watched me embarrass myself dancing to Jealous and instead of laughing, joined in. My best friends, my favorite drinks, and that story about the one time I almost fell off a balcony in college that I don't actually remember that well. Nothing is off limits. So come along for the ride and see what a life styled by Kayla is all about.